Trump cornered Iran this Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, by keeping alive the boldest option of this crisis, an American mission to seize the highly enriched uranium that Tehran is trying to protect in underground facilities, especially in the Isfahan region. The Washington Post revealed that U.S. military officials presented a plan to remove nearly 1,000 pounds of this material. Meanwhile, the International Atomic Energy Agency points out that Iran has about 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% close to the level used in nuclear weapons. That's when Trump turns the political game around. If the Iranian regime thought it could hide cylinders, block inspections, and use the bomb as leverage, now it faces a White House saying it might go get the material inside Iranian territory itself. What will Tehran do when it realizes that uranium is no longer a shield and has become a target? Many people still believe that having a business registration number, an Instagram account, or even a website domain already guarantees that the business name is protected. But that's not how it works. The truth is simple. The brand is only truly yours when it is registered with the INPI. Without this registration, any company can try to use the same name, challenge your brand identity, and even put everything you've built at risk. That's why MoveOn comes into this process. There are already more than 10,000 protected brands with 100% online service and operations in more than 17 countries. MoveOn has become a trusted name in trademark registration and is a company I fully trust. So don't wait for the problem to appear before you start looking for a solution. Protect your business name now. The link is in the description and in this QR code on the screen. The pressure increased after American authorities received plans for a physical operation to remove the nuclear material. According to the Washington Post, United States military officials presented Trump with a proposal to seize nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium in Iran, in an operation that would require heavy support, specialists, and enormous protection. The White House does not consider this a final decision, but rather a real option on the table, and just the fact that this option exists already changes the game. The main target is uranium enriched to 60%, a level much higher than what is commonly used for civilian nuclear power, and close to the grade used in nuclear weapons, which is 90%. The International Atomic Energy Agency reported that Iran has accumulated 440.9 kilograms of this material. A significant part of this stockpile is believed to be in tunnels in Isfahan, in central Iran, where international access has become increasingly limited. The problem for Trump is that the bombs have already hit Iranian nuclear facilities, but they haven't solved the main question: where is all the uranium? In June 2025, the International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed attacks by the United States against Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. There was significant damage, but damage is not the same as control. For Washington, destroying buildings, entrances, and structures is not enough if the main material remains hidden in cylinders, tunnels, or protected areas. And that's when Iran tried to turn this doubt into a political shield. The regime knows that as long as no one is absolutely certain about the fate of the uranium, it still holds a bargaining chip against Trump, against Israel, and against the West. The news reports indicate that Tehran may have moved the material before the June attacks, and images analyzed by experts have raised suspicions of a transfer to Isfahan. The International Atomic Energy Agency itself requested access to the underground complex and was not able to verify everything it wanted to. Trump reacted the way he usually does when he realizes the other side is using negotiations to buy time. He started to argue that Iran cannot keep this material and that the United States may strike again if there is no agreement. This Wednesday, during a speech at the Coast Guard Academy, Trump said that the United States might have to hit Iran even harder, but he also left open the possibility of an agreement. The warning came along with the most important statement: Washington will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The negotiations stalled because the central point is not just a promise on paper. Trump wants Iran to hand over or allow the removal of highly enriched uranium. According to CBS News, the president stated that Tehran had signaled it would allow American entry to help extract the material, but then backed down by not including this in the formal ceasefire proposal. For Trump, this kind of backtracking shows the old Iranian tactic, talking about diplomacy during the day and preserving the nuclear threat behind the scenes. Israel is also putting pressure because it believes the war won't end as long as the uranium remains hidden. Netanyahu has treated the removal of this material as an essential part of preventing the Iranian regime from rebuilding its nuclear capability. For Tel Aviv, it's not enough to hit bases, radars, or command centers. The threat remains alive if the enriched material continues to be protected on Iranian soil. That's why the conversation between Trump and Netanyahu gained importance. Both know that the nuclear stockpile has become the heart of the crisis. The mission would be difficult because we're not talking about grabbing documents from an ordinary room. The material would be in underground areas with damaged access, physical protection, risk of contamination, and the presence of Iranian forces. That's why Washington treats the plan as something extreme, but the political implications are even greater. If Trump shows willingness to go after the uranium inside Iran, he breaks Tehran's confidence in its own stronghold. The regime has always bet that hiding, delaying inspections, and toughening its rhetoric would be enough to force concessions. Iran tries to project defiance, but the domestic situation shows fear. When the regime increases arrests, threatens more repression, and turns any criticism into a security threat, it is not showing calm strength, it is showing insecurity. Trump's external pressure mixes with internal pressure against an Iranian elite that knows it has lost part of its military capability and now tries to protect what little strategic value remains. The most important detail is that Trump doesn't need to start the operation to use it as a political weapon. The mere existence of the plan already puts pressure on Iranian negotiators. Tehran now has to calculate whether it's worth keeping the uranium hidden and risking a much harsher action, or if it should accept some kind of supervised removal to avoid another blow. That's the trap. If Iran hands it over, it loses its main bargaining chip. If it doesn't, it gives Trump the public justification to escalate. The White House is working with a clear narrative for the American public. It's not about invading on a whim, but about preventing a hostile dictatorship from getting material close to weapons grade. This argument speaks directly to Trump's base, which wants strength against foreign enemies, but also doesn't want a long war without a clear objective. That's why the operation is presented as a surgical measure in political discourse, even though it's huge in practice. Iran tries to respond with threats, but each threat only reinforces Trump's argument. When Tehran talks about resisting, expanding the confrontation, or accelerating its nuclear program, it helps Washington argue that the regime can't be treated as a reliable partner. When it avoids full inspection, it fuels suspicion. It reflects that the proposal is an attempt at destruction. What he means is that it's not about destruction, but about supplying the government. An attempt at destruction, or supplying it. Destruction, smoke. Now, the next step depends on three moves. The first is the Iranian response about uranium. The second is Israel's pressure for Trump not to accept a weak deal. The third is the reaction of the Gulf nations. They want to avoid open war, but they also don't want a nuclear Iran dominating the region. On this chessboard, Trump tries to appear as the only leader willing to do what others only talk about in closed meetings. On this chessboard, the insane mission in this context is not just military, it's a political message. Trump wants to turn Iran's hidden uranium into an immediate problem for the regime itself. After blocking inspectors and waiting for the West to tire out, they now face the White House saying it might go get the material. And when a power puts that option on the table, the negotiation immediately heats up. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.